Good morning, everybody. Thank God it's Friday. TGIF. Woo! Thank God it's Friday. And welcome to another episode of the Empower Her Experience podcast. I'm your host, Christy Copeland, and this is the place where healing meets honesty and growth meets accountability. And women are empowered to become whole, not just functional, not just getting by, but being whole. And today's conversation is one that I believe many women, not just women, but men, need to hear because somewhere along the way, a lot of us have confused healing with settling. So I'm excited about this episode today. It is called When Wounds Lower Standards. Oh my goodness. And so this one might step on some toes, but hey, it might just save somebody from abandoning themselves just to keep people around and keep people in their life. Because there is a difference between becoming more understanding and becoming easier to be mistreated. Okay? So let's talk about it. There's a difference between maturity and emotional exhaustion. Okay? There's definitely a difference between healthy flexibility and slowly accepting less than what you truly need or deserve. So today we're going to unpack all of this, what standards actually are, how the wounds distort them, and how disappointment changes people, and how to know whether you're healing or you're just tired. So let's talk. Real talk today. So, what are standards? First, let's define standards correctly because a lot of people misuse that word all the time. Standards do not mean perfection. It's not about control. It's not about some fantasy or a sense of entitlement. Healthy standards are the boundaries, values, and requirements that help protect your emotional, mental, physical, and your spiritual well being. Your standards are connected to your self worth, like your safety, your peace. And God knows we got to do whatever we have to do to protect our peace. Am I right about it? Yes, you got to protect your peace, protect your purpose, and your capacity. So that is what standards are for. Standards are connected to all of those things, which is why it's so important that we have standards and don't just settle for just anything. So, some examples of some healthy standards are I want honesty. Like, I want the people in my life honest. You can't just have people out here just lying to us. Like, I want honesty. Somebody put that in the chat. I want honesty. Be honest. Stop lying. So that's an example of a healthy standard. Another one is consistency. Oh man, that's a big one for me. Like don't I don't like flaky people. I don't like fickle, flaky, all that. No. Be consistent. If you're going to be a jerk, be consistently a jerk, okay? If you don't be cool one day and the next day you flaky. Like be consistent. That's a good example of healthy standards. I need consistency and I deserve respect. I deserve respect. That's an example of healthy, setting healthy standards. Like I deserve respect. Like you're just not gonna be out here just disrespecting me and think I'm just gonna be okay with it. No, that's not how that works. So an example of healthy standards is deserving respect and letting people know that they need to respect you. If not, they can move around. Another example of healthy standards is needing emotional safety. I've got to feel emotionally safe with you in order for me to tell you anything. Have y'all ever told somebody something and it was something that you don't already took the time to process, you've already worked through it, you've already prayed about it, and you're just telling them because you feel emotionally safe. And then after you tell them, they go on all this trying to give you all this advice and all this, and you're like, I didn't ask for that. I just was telling you. Really, all you had to say was, wow, sis, that's good. Good for you. That's all I need. I don't need all the extra, you know. And so sometimes it makes you, and even like going so far as I know we'll get into that later, but sometimes people just want to get it out. Sometimes people just want to vent. They're not asking for your feedback. Sometimes you need to just listen. And then it's okay to say, you know what? Are you telling me this because you just want me to listen, or are you telling me this because you want some feedback? Because we got a lot of people out here giving unsolicited advice. It ain't asked you to, nobody asked for it, but you just decide to give it anyway. Somebody just telling you about something that they're dealing with or something they're going through, and you automatically just going in there, you're throwing scriptures at them, you're telling them this and you're telling them that, trying to give them a mini therapy session. They didn't ask you for that. Sometimes just, wow, that's good, sis. Sometimes that's all a person needs. They don't need your feedback. Healthy standards. I need reciprocity. Reciprocity means I don't want a one-sided relationship. You know what? 2026, Christy Copeland decided no more one-sided relationships. No more. And if you're dealing with that, pick up your copy of Growing in the Swamp, because I talk about that. No more reciprocity. You need to have standards where it is a relationship where you're not just pouring until everything in your cup is evaporated, and they go on, they take what's in that cup and they go on, but they're not doing nothing to fill yours up. So we need reciprocity, and having healthy standards means I need reciprocity. This is not a one-sided thing. Another example of healthy standards is I don't want to carry relationships alone. I don't want to be the only one trying to figure this thing out. I don't want to be the only one trying to come to you to make this work. Like, you should be putting in just as much effort as I do. And then another one is I want communication, healthy communication instead of manipulation. That's an example of healthy standards. Wanting someone to communicate effectively, not gaslighting, not trying to make you think you the problem when they know good and well what they're doing, but communication instead of manipulation. That's a big one. And it's okay to have that. None of those standards that I just named are unrealistic. Not one of them is impossible to do. They are all within the capacity. They're not unrealistic. But wounded people often get shamed for having standards. Isn't that crazy? Wounded people, like, you done hurt me, but you want to shame me because I got standards, because I say I'm not going to deal with that. I'm not going to put up with you talking to me like that. I'm not going to deal with you acting this way with me today and this way with me tomorrow. I'm not going to deal with this being on one side. People often get shamed and talked about. People will call you difficult. They will say you're too picky. They'll say you're hard to please. They'll say you're intimidating. You're too emotional. You're too much. But it's not that. It's not that you're too much. Sometimes people just benefited from that version of you that required them to do too little. Ooh, wait. I think that deserves a repeat. Sometimes people just benefited from the versions of you that required too little of them. So when you start to put them standards, I know that was bad grammar. When you start to put those healthy standards on certain people, they don't like that, because they are used to just giving the bare minimum while you give everything. You giving 110 and they barely doing the 10. Come on. So now you difficult. No, boo-boo. You are just not putting in the work. So that means to the left. Anyway, wisdom. Let's talk about wisdom. When you have wisdom, wisdom will change your expectations. This part is important, because wisdom does change expectations. Growth matures you. When you start to grow, you start to be mature. You start to see things in a different light. Life starts teaching you some things. Experiences will humble you. Oh my gosh. They will humble you. And sometimes wisdom will help you realize that everybody ain't gonna like you. I realize that. Well, I realize that everybody is not going to like you. And guess what? It's okay. You don't gotta like me. It's okay if they don't like you. Everybody's not gonna like you. Some people don't even know you, and they'll formulate an opinion of you just because of the way you look. So wisdom teaches you that not everybody is going to like you. But guess what? It's okay. Not everybody is going to communicate like you. And guess what? That's okay. We all came from different backgrounds, different upbringings and all of that. So we're not all going to communicate the same. But guess what? We can teach each other how we would prefer to be communicated with. We can teach people. I always say this. You set the standard for how other people treat you. You set that standard. Somebody need to put that in the chat. You set the standard for how other people treat you. If you don't set the standards, then people are going to treat you however they want to. But everybody's not going to communicate like you, but it doesn't mean that you cannot verbalize or you cannot express how you would prefer them to communicate with you. Everybody's not going to process emotions like you. Everyone isn't capable of meeting every single emotional desire you have. That's not going to happen. But wisdom says, I can adjust unrealistic fantasies or expectations without abandoning my own needs. I can make adjustments, but I'm not going to abandon my needs. And if that's not enough for you, hey, if that's too much for you, then maybe you should rethink this relationship. For example, let me give an example. So like when you were younger, you may expect people to read your mind, right? You may expect that relationships to always are going to feel exciting. Like they're always going to be, a bed of roses. When you're younger, you might expect that friends will never disappoint you, or that healthy love never requires having difficult conversations. Like you might have all of those thoughts when you're younger, but when the older you get, or the more life teaches you things, wisdom begins to teach you that communication and grace and emotional intelligence and flexibility and realism. Wisdom says people are human. But wisdom does not tell you to normalize dysfunctional behavior now. That's where people get confused. Wisdom lets you know people are human, but it did not tell you to normalize dysfunctional behavior. No, that's where the confusion is. But I'm here to help you today. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about when wounds begin to lower standards. We're going to go a little deeper with this. Wounds lower standards, not always suddenly. Sometimes slowly, sometimes quietly, sometimes subtly, especially after you've had enough heartbreak, after you've had enough disappointment. You're tired of the same people doing the same thing over and over. And sometimes it's the same person in a different body. Woo! After you've had enough of that, you've had enough disappointment, enough betrayal, enough abandonment, enough of loneliness, people start accepting things that they said they never would accept. Not because they got healed from it, but because they got tired. So they just started settling and just putting up with things. And exhaustion will talk you into doing things that your healing never would. Whew. My gosh. I had to just let that one sit for a moment. Somebody just put in the chat, whew, that's a lot. Some people didn't become less picky. They became emotionally defeated. There's a difference. Somebody might say, like some women will say, you'll hear them say, well, at least he comes home. At least he comes home. It's 4:00 in the morning. At least he comes home. What H-Town say? 5:00 in the morning. Okay. Anyway, at least he comes home. Y'all pray for me. Because their wounds lowered their standards. They got tired, emotionally defeated. So now, instead of setting that standard, like you ain't out here single, like you out here in these streets, like you single people come in at 5:00 in the morning. When you in a whole relationship or a marriage, that's not okay. Or you'll hear some people say, well, at least they call sometimes. They begin to normalize inconsistent behavior. Some people say, well, ain't nobody perfect, while they're tolerating things that are damaging their mental health. And sometimes wounds make people believe that something is better than nothing. Have you ever heard somebody say, well, a half a man is better than no man? Come on, people. No. No. That is when your wounds have caused you to lower your standards. I want a whole man. I want a man that's going to show up for me. I want a man that's going to be there for me. I want a man who's going to make me his priority. Make me put me in a position of being his queen. I don't want half a man. You want a half a man for guess what? You'll accept that half a man. Then after a while, you're going to get sick of that half a man and the relationship going to end and you're going to waste it. 2, 3, 4, 5 years on this half a man. Why? Because half a man better than no man. Woo! I told y'all I was going to step on some toes today. So they'll say something better than nothing. But let me tell you something. Your peace matters. It should. Because guess what? You can have all the money in the world. You can even have the best husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend in the world. But if you don't have any peace, what does that matter? Some people have money and they don't even know they're in this world. Don't have no peace, don't have a mind to even spend it. Somebody put that in the chat, please. Peace matters. And if it's costing you your peace, it is too expensive. Because let me tell you, I just experienced this just on this week. Letting go feels great. Because your peace matters. It matters. Whew. Safety matters. Emotional safety matters. Reciprocity matters. That means you value me just as much as I value you. And healing should not require you to abandon yourself. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about trauma a little bit. Because one thing about trauma can distort what you accept as well. Trauma changes people. And if we don't become aware of it, then that trauma will start choosing for us. Whew. Trauma can make you over accommodate. Trauma can make you over explain. It can make you over function, over give, over tolerate. And it can make you under require. It can let you accept all of this stuff that is devaluing you. It's like, no, I deserve more than that. I deserve better than that. I've been good to you. I've done this and I've done that. And I've been there for you when you need me. I deserve better than that. I deserve more than that. I deserve to be respected. I deserve to be appreciated. Because I give you everything. Wounded people often start shrinking standards to avoid rejection. Some of us cannot stand for people to not like us or reject us or not deal with us. So we'll start to just accept stuff because we don't want to deal with those feelings of rejection. We'll start to accept things because we don't want conflict, or we don't want people to feel a certain way about us, that we're too much, that we're too difficult. We start to accept things because we've gotten lonely. We just anybody, just at least I got somebody. I'm not lonely. We do things because we have abandonment issues. We accept things because we don't want people to leave, because we have these abandonment issues. So we are doing things from a place of fear of abandonment, fear of disappointing other people, or the feeling that we're hard to love. No, boo, you're not hard to love. You just got standards. And that's okay. It's okay to have standards. in every area, not just romantic relationships, in your family, with your friends, on the job, all of those things. It's not hard to love. You have standards. And sometimes the fear of being alone becomes greater than the fear of being mistreated. And that's dangerous, y'all. That is dangerous. Somebody put that in the chat. That's dangerous. That's dangerous. Now, survival is making relationship decisions instead of healing. So you're just doing things from a place of survival mode. And survival mode often chooses familiarity over your health, over your mental health, over your emotional well-being, because this is what you're used to. This is what you're familiar with. And I'm scared. It might be a long time before I find another friend. It might be a long time before I get in another relationship. So you know what? I'm just going to make this work. So you stay in what's familiar, and your mental and emotional and your spiritual and physical well-being is damaged. Even if the familiarity hurts. That's why some people repeatedly accept emotionally unavailable partners. You know good and well when you got into a relationship with them that they were emotionally unavailable. They were either already with somebody, they just got out of a bad breakup. You notice they 60 years old, ain't never had a serious relationship. What? Why? Why? Familiarity causes people to repeatedly accept one-sided friendships. Like TLC, what about your friends? Will they stand their ground? Will they let you down? Are they going to be around? Or will they turn their back on you? What about your friends? One-sided friendships. No more. Put that in 22. Put that in the chat. No more one-sided relationships or friendships in 2026. Familiarity will cause you to repeatedly accept one-sided friendships and disrespect. Not in this season. Nope. It will have you accepting inconsistent behavior, manipulative, controlling people, gaslighting, and it will have you accepting bare minimum effort. No, that's not me. Move on to the next one who don't have no standards. That doesn't work here, boo-boo. Somebody put, I want consistency. No bare minimum. No bare minimum. And you accept these things, not because you enjoy pain, because it hurts. It's like that wound. Have y'all ever injured yourself or cut yourself or hurt yourself, and then it scabs over, and somehow, some way, you end up cutting it open again, and then it has to heal all over again? Some of us put ourselves in these types of situations where we keep getting involved with these types of relationships repeatedly, not because we enjoy the pain, but because pain became familiar, and all we are doing is cutting that wound open over and over and over again. Not because we enjoy the pain, but because the pain becomes familiar. Whew. I told y'all, it's going to step on some toes today. But I'm trying to help somebody. All right. So now let me move on to something else. Let's talk about signs you may be lowering your standards instead of healing. Because somebody might be on here saying, well, how do I know that? How do I know that I am lowering my standards instead of healing? So let's talk about that. Let me give you some signs. Signs you may be lowering your standards if you constantly explain away behavior that hurts you. You're making excuses. You're explaining, well, they did this, they did that. But they didn't do as bad to me as they did last time. Stop that. Stop it. You're constantly explaining behavior that hurts you and making excuses for it. Or maybe I'm just asking for too much. No, you're not asking for too much. You're just asking the wrong people because you're dealing with the wrong people. You silence your needs to avoid conflict. That's how you know that you're lowering your standards. You silence your needs to avoid conflict. So you become easygoing at your own expense. Mm, wow. You start people pleasing. You don't really speak up. You don't express your needs. You don't say what it is you need and what you want because you don't want the conflict. Another way you know that you're lowering your standards is you start to feel emotionally drained, but you keep tolerating the situation. Oh my goodness. So no, I'm gonna let that one go today. But you feel emotionally drained, but keep tolerating the situation. This person done showed you for the last 4 or 5 months. They done did 3 to 4 things of the same thing. The same type of situation, just the same thing, just a different situation. But they keep doing it and they're emotionally draining you. But you keep tolerating the situation. And then when it comes down to it, they're not going to show up for you. They still disrespectful. They're still inconsistent. They're still selfish. They're still manipulative. All of those things. And you're continually emotionally drained. And yet you keep tolerating the situation. Another way that you know that you're lowering your standards is you're afraid to communicate honestly because you fear people leaving. But guess what? If you can't speak up and tell someone how you feel, if you can't tell them that you felt disrespected by them, if you can't tell them that you felt hurt by something they said or something they did without them leaving, guess what? It's time to go anyway. Because if that obviously don't care about your feelings. Do you really want people like that in your life? I don't. Another way that you know that you're lowering your standards is you celebrate crumbs because you've been starving emotionally. Whew. Kind of what we talked about earlier. Well, at least they come home. Okay. Well, at least well, no. Don't celebrate those crumbs. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. No. You are lowering your standards. Another way, you confuse attention with care. No, no. When someone cares, they're going to show you they care. They're not going to talk it, they're going to show it. They might say it, but they're going to back it up. Another way, you keep saying, at least, at least, at least. That's another way to know that you're lowering your standards. At least they try. At least they text. At least they don't cheat, but he knocking you upside the head. At least they're here, but they got an attitude. Meanwhile, your spirit is steadily being exhausted. Mm-mm. Somebody put that in the chat. No more at least. No more. No more at least. Now that I've told you what lowering your standards actually looks like, let's talk about what healing actually looks like. Healing doesn't make you desperate for less than you should be getting or you deserve. Healing actually gives you more clarity. It increases your clarity. Healing says, I can love people realistically and still honor myself. Healing allows flexibility without self-betrayal or self-sacrifice. I don't have to keep sacrificing myself just so you don't leave. Healing says, I understand imperfection, but I will not normalize dysfunction. I understand you're not perfect. I understand you might not always get it right, but guess what? When I set my standard of things that are unacceptable, I'm going to know. If you care, I'm going to know because you're going to try. You're going to change some things or respect the boundaries that are set. So I understand the imperfection, but I'm not going to normalize dysfunction. That's wisdom. Healing also helps you to recognize that some expectations just need adjusting. But standards rooted in safety, respect, honesty, and peace, they are not optional. That's a requirement. Some expectations need adjusting. So this is how I am. I told I told someone one day, I said, I'm not lowering my standards, but I am lowering my expectation of you. I'm lowering my expectation of you. I don't expect this of you anymore, but I know how to deal with you now. And that's what some of us need to get. I'm not lowering my standards, but I'm not going to keep being disappointed by this person because they refuse to meet the expectation. I'm going to lower my expectation, but I will not lower my standards. Now I see you. I know you. I know what to expect, what not to expect, but I still have the same standards. And let me say this carefully. You do not have to become low maintenance to prove that you're healed. And you don't have to become low maintenance to prove to other people or to keep other people from leaving. You don't have to do that. I'm not saying you got to be over the top, but you don't have to dummy yourself down for other people. Some people, they get praised for being so understanding while they're privately carrying emotional burdens that nobody sees. Like they're so understanding because people just do whatever. People say whatever. And in business, like you can have a business and you can have a policy. For example, I give you an example like the doctor's office. You go to the doctor's office and they have this thing. Okay, you got 24-hour cancellation policy, right? But then you got people canceling right before that doctor's appointment. And then they get mad when they get hit with them fees, or the people say, well, we're not going to put you back on the schedule. Why? You knew the policy. And then people take that as, oh, well, they said I was so understanding because I let it pass. No, they just realized that they could get away with it. So being praised, so you're so understanding, but you privately carrying emotional burdens that nobody notices because people keep running over you. No, healing teaches balance. Healing teaches discernment. Healing teaches boundaries, communication, healthy communication, and self-respect. So y'all know I love to give y'all some things to make y'all think. I want to leave you with a couple of reflection questions. Ask yourself honestly, have I become more mature or more emotionally exhausted? Did wisdom adjust my expectations, or did pain lower my standards? My standards are my values, my boundaries, all those things. Did pain lower them, or did wisdom make me adjust them, just my expectations? Am I operating from peace, or am I operating from fear of being alone? What behaviors have I normalized that once hurt me so deeply? And am I requiring less because I healed or because I no longer believe I deserve more? I want you to sit with that today. Sit with that. And I want you to hear me clearly today. Healing does not mean abandoning yourself to keep relationships. Healing is not shrinking your needs so that people will feel like you're easier to love. Healing is not tolerating dysfunction just so you won't be alone. Allow wisdom to change your expectations, but don't let wounds lower your standards. And if you've been accepting less because life hurt you, because they left, because they rejected you, because disappointment has exhausted you, because heartbreak has brought you to your knees, I want you to know you are allowed to rebuild your standards again. You are allowed to require peace in your life again. You are allowed to expect reciprocity again. You are allowed to stop apologizing for needing emotional safety. And you are allowed to choose yourself without feeling guilty about it. So I want to thank y'all again. I love y'all for joining and tuning in. I really do, because I know there's so much that you could be doing on this Friday morning. But if this episode blessed you, if it challenged you, if it made you reflect, share it with another man or woman who may need this reminder. And I want to remind you that you can grow in grace without shrinking your worth. And before I go, I want to tell you again that Growing in the Swamp, woohoo, is now available. Get your copy. Get your copy online at copelandcounseling.us or join us at one of our Growing in the Swamp tour dates on our Empower Her Experience page. We have some more dates coming up. They'll be added soon, but you can stop by, say hi, get a hug, take a picture, get a book signed, whatever, at the Growing in the Swamp book tour. So go on our Empower Her Experience page, like the page, and get updates on the book tour. Also, mark your calendars. Woo! Men, women, boys, and girls. Mark your calendars for the Empower Her Experience 2026. We have a great lineup. We are going next level her this year, and it's going to be a unique experience. We are excited about the next level her. And I want to thank y'all again for tuning in. Enjoy this weekend. Don't let nobody steal your joy. Don't let anybody steal your peace. And remember, it's okay to have healthy standards. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, be absolutely amazing today. Bye, everybody.